Welcome back to another one. I'm going to talk about something that I heard over the weekend where a guy was getting a fitting out on the course. TaylorMade rep came out there and was talking about his swing. And the guy said that he couldn't break 120 no matter what he could do, and he accepted it. He said, you know what, that's just kind of my skill level and I'm fine with that. However, when he saw his swing, it was not that of somebody that did not have the technical skill to break 120. In fact, he could probably break 80 with that swing. So we're gonna talk about why people struggle to break their high score, and mostly, 100 or 90. A little to the left. Let's talk about it in a very simple, straightforward manner. If you have the mindset that you cannot break 100, or if you can't break 95 even, then it is most likely that you have serious decision-making problems rather than a skill deficit, right? Because if you can hit a pitching wedge, say 100 yards forward, you have the skill set to even break 95. I know a lot of people aren't gonna like to hear that, but that is the truth of the matter. And I'll explain a little bit more about that. Oh, I've been hitting everything left recently. That's still a good shot. What does that mean? If you can hit a pitching wedge at least 100 yards forward, that means you can hit any other club in the bag the way that you want it. So if you can hit a pitching wedge 100 yards, and most people are probably going to say, that's not that hard. That's not a full swing. And if it is a full swing, that's fine. But most people are probably gonna say that's not a full swing for me, right? Which means your problem is poor decision-making by doing full swings. And remember the last video, I said full swings are for PGA players and idiots. Oh, it just ran. So which one are you? If you can hit your pitching wedge 100 yards forward, not including rollout, you can probably hit your 9-iron at least 110 to 120 doing the same exact swing. And then you can hit your 8-iron 130 to 140 doing the same exact thing, right? Each club is obviously going to go a little bit further, not including rollout. But the big thing is you not doing the wrong swing, making the wrong decision, trying to full swing every single club, as opposed to doing a partial 100-yard pitching wedge shot and getting the ball where it needs to go. Wow, they are fast. But if you can hit a 100-yard pitching wedge, you can navigate the course with enough skill with every other club with the same swing to break, I can probably say break 90. It's not that hard. Your decision-making just sucks. Just like that chip. I should have putted it. Bad decision, but that's not the point. The point today is not my score. The point today is you. Oh, look at that putt. What a good putt. Now that we have set the benchmark for the skill level that you need to break 90, but especially to break 100, the rest is up to mental and better decisions. So let's talk about starting to make better decisions and the wrong decisions that you are probably making. 214. One of the big decisions that you're making poorly is your shot off the tee. Now, most people probably gonna get anxiety off the tee and then make a poor decision based off of the anxiety, as opposed to having the confidence of what do I want to do with this shot. And whether that is skill-based, where you don't have the practice and confidence to know what club to hit yet, you'll learn that as time goes on. However, you want to have confidence that, all right, I'm going to do what I say I'm going to do. So if I say I have 215 yards to the flag for this par 3, you are probably not going to end up in that decision because these are far back. But if you have that decision, okay, can I hit 215 yards where I want it? Probably not. Otherwise, you probably wouldn't be watching this video, right? But you probably can hit that. I can't hit that. And I'm not even saying that I'm that good, but I can't hit that. I can go for that, and I may get somewhere around the green in the bunkers. However, if I don't have the confidence to do that, or I'm not feeling it today, I don't want to make the poor decision and try to go for that. That's just gonna lead me into the wrong place, and I could shank it, I could slice it, I could do a whole bunch of other things. Instead, I would want to hit maybe I don't know, 180 yards out there, right? Whatever I feel confident with. And chip one out there, 160 yards, 180 yards, and then get a wedge in my hand and get it on the green from there. That's a better decision-making process than trying to go for the green when I know I don't have the confidence to do that. So step one is starting to listen to your confidence a little bit more. Now, having said that, I'm gonna go for this. Left it out to the left, just like the last shot. It had the distance, just not the accuracy. But that's the new swing I'm working on. Now that I have recognized that I hit it 180 yards out here and I'm on my second shot on a par 3, I don't want to start to think, oh, I need to get this up and down, right? Because if you are so far out where you have 220 yards to the green, you're probably playing for the bogey on that, right? Or at least, you know, you have the skill to play for a par, but most likely you're gonna be playing for the bogey. And most people trying to break 100 or trying to break 90 should be playing for the bogey. You have to realize that most people, breaking 90 would be like a life goal for them. So to do that, you really just need smart decisions and put together enough stable swings to get to where you want to go. So I don't even know how far this is. I'm gonna say like around 50 yards. I'm going to hit this at least on the green. I don't need to go for the flag. If I go long, I'm gonna be in the rough. The flag is right on the edge. That would be a bad decision to go directly for the flag, especially if I don't have the confidence to spin my wedge and let it stop. So instead, I'm gonna get it on the green and let it roll out because I know you know that you don't know how to spin the ball and let it stop. You are probably gonna take a 60-degree and try to get it too high and it's too fluffy under it, and then you're gonna chip it 10 yards, right? So you're choosing the wrong club with your wedge and you're hitting it 5 yards because you're trying to do the wrong shot. Instead, you can take a pitching wedge out of this, chip it out there and let it run up. Make the right choice with the right club, with the right shot. So that landed short and it ran up on the green. Now we have a long putt, but that's fine. That's better than leaving it 5 yards here and making 3 or 4 flub shots. And now I'm maxing on a par 3 and you don't need to. When you have a long putt, it's tricky for a lot of people because they get into their head about the distance and where they need to land it. You can watch the other videos about getting out of your own head, but what I want to do with my putting to make a better decision, you have to realize that putting is very simple. The only thing that really matters after the read is just the distance. And once you get the read, put the line on the ball, and now I don't need to think about anything else. I don't need to think about where this ball is going because I already know where the ball is going because I put the line on it. Now I just need to hit the line and let the ball go out there. Now I don't know if this line is actually where I want it to go, so let's kind of see. I'm gonna do a quick read. The wrong decision that people do is not reading the green properly and not taking their time. They just kind of walk up and hit the putt, and then they're mad that they 3-putt every single time. It takes longer to 3-putt than it does to set the line, read the green, and hit the putt once or twice, right? Because then you're gonna be upset and you're gonna be like, oh, and then I'm gonna leave myself with a 10-footer, and that's a knee knocker for most people, and then they're gonna get in their head. Instead, I set the line. I don't need to think about where this ball is going. I just need to think about how far this ball is going. And with a long putt, you can try to get it into the hole, or you can try to get it to a big hole, a 2-foot circle around the hole. Now, I didn't hit any putts today, so I don't know how far that is gonna go. But look at that. That is a 2-foot putt, 3-foot putt, and we're good to go. But make the smart decision, use the line on the ball, and then hit it to a certain distance close to the hole. That is going to be the better decisions that you can start making with your long putts. If you watched any of my other videos, then you'll know I talk a lot about turning your brain off and going into autopilot. And that is only for the swing. That is not for the decision making around the course. You need to be smart. There's too many dumb people out there. Don't be one of them. When people walk up to a par 4, at least most of my friends that aren't breaking 100, they just automatically pull out a driver. They don't even look at how far it goes. And I ask them, why do you have a driver? They're like, I don't know. And they hit it anyway. They don't know, one, where the driver's gonna go. Sometimes they get lucky and it goes exactly where they want it, but most of the time, it's not gonna go exactly where you want it. On this hole, it's a sharp dog leg left. So if I pull out my driver, 240 yards down there, it's going into the rough. Most people walk up and they see a par 4, they think I'm just gonna hit it down there. I don't know how far my driver goes, and maybe it goes 240, maybe it goes 260, maybe it goes 200. Instead of picking a club off the tee that you know how far it goes, and it doesn't take very long to figure that out, you can go to the range for 5 minutes, hit 2 clubs, use one of those little things, right? You use the little, I don't know, you know what I'm talking about. Comment below what I'm talking about. Use one of those little things. My brain isn't working. Figure out how far I just hit this ball, and then you can add a few yards because the ball's not going to spin as much as the range ball. And then once you're out here, you know how far your club goes, and instead of full swinging off the tee like most people want to do because they want to get it as far as possible out there, I'm still going to do that 100-yard pitching wedge shot with this club. So I'm going to hit a 5-iron, and I'm going to do my pitching wedge. I'm going to do the same exact swing as my pitching wedge with my 5-iron. Yeah, my stance is going to be a little bit bigger, a little bit more wide, but I'm still going to do the same feeling and just get it out there. And it's probably going to go around 180, which is fine. I don't need much more than that. You don't need much more than that because you are probably playing from the white tees. If you're playing the blue tees, you still probably don't need that much more than that because they're not that far. There we go. It's in the fairway. It's probably gonna land around 160. Took a big bounce, it's dry, it's gonna roll out. We're gonna be fine. Smart decision is to be in the fairway and not the rough, and especially not out of bounds. Now, I hit that at pretty much exactly spot on what I said. I hit that 175 yards. Now the hard part on this hole is if you don't get it to that corner, you're gonna have these trees in your way. I did that on purpose because one, if I can hit my 5-iron 180 yards, which most people probably can if they make solid contact with it, you're going to leave yourself in positions like this, where it's a long par 4, or it's a dogleg left par 4, and you can't make it to the green in 2, and that's fine. One, you can play it like a par 5. Golf Sidekick talks about that all the time. You can play it like a par 5, and that's the smart decision of what you should do. So instead of trying to go for it, and I know you think, okay, who is that dumb that they're going to try to go 210 yards, a big old hook around this tree and get on the green. But most people are making such terrible decisions because one, their egos are getting in the way, or their anxiety of getting a bogey is getting in the way, or their round is already going poorly because they hit a bogey over there, they maxed out on the par 3, and now in their head, they're not even thinking about making the right decisions. They're just thinking about getting the round over with or hitting this ball as hard as I can, or they're making the worst decision where they're looking for a miracle shot. A miracle shot is not gonna happen. Instead, the miracle shot should be solid contact on the ball. So instead of going for it 203 yards around this big old tree, I'm just gonna lay up and accept that I have to do that. That's the smart decision, and I wanna keep it in the fairway as much as possible. If you ever watch Good, they do those gimmick games where if you pretend that's lava, I don't wanna lose this ball by going in the lava. So I'm just going to try to hit this 6-iron, chip it out there, same pitching wedge swing, get it out there, get it in the fairway, and go from there. And let's talk about picking your angle for the right spot so far. I could even make a little dot on the ground. No one's gonna notice, no one's gonna care. And now I'm going to line myself up parallel to that. I'm just gonna swing my swing. If you play a fade, play your fade. If you play a draw, play your draw. If you play a slice, I mean, you gotta work at that slice, but play the slice. I hit that too far, too good. Wow, I'm too strong. And now you are on your 3rd shot into a par 4, and you're thinking, I need to land it on the green. Well, that's true. You do really wanna land it on the green because you wanna play for the bogey. That means I can land it near the green and at least play for the double bogey on a really hard par 4 or a par 5. The worst thing you could do is max. I'd rather get a double than an 8. So what I want to do is I have an 80-yard shot. A lot of people hate that number because they don't practice it enough. But what you can do is you can just bump it straight down this fairway. I can take a pitching wedge, I can take a 9-iron, and I can hit it very lightly and hit that 100-yard shot. I didn't hit it that well, but it's gonna run up there. How do I make the decision between chipping it and putting it from off the green? There's a whole lot of theories in that, but the easiest one to think about is my worst putt going to be better than my worst chip? And is my best chip going to be better than my worst putt? And is my best putt gonna be better than my best chip? 3 simple questions. So from here, if you're playing a course where there's just a lot of bumpiness in between here and the green, you probably wanna chip it, right? Because you can't predict what that bumpiness is going to do to the ball. It could bounce to left, it could bounce to right, it could stop it. It's gonna be a whole bunch of things. But if it's nice and smooth, you can either treat this as pretty much the green, or you can chip it. I mean, there's 2 options, right? But for most people, I'm gonna say most people are probably not going to chip it from here to the flag and land it pretty close. I'm gonna hit both and see which one turns out better. For me, I like chipping these because I practice these and I can't get a good feeling for putting from this far out. Okay, this is a little excessive, but from putting off the green, so instead, I have a pitching wedge right here, and I'm gonna do a little bump and run. And all I'm gonna do is hit it like a putt. So I know my 10-yard swing usually goes around there, right? I'm just going to hit it kind of like a long putt. Because of that, you're gonna get up there, leave yourself with just fast greens. Normally on less fast greens, it's probably gonna be like a little 6-footer from there. But still, let's see what the putt is going to turn out like. Now this ball is very dirty, so it's not a fair representation. But there's a lot of things that could happen in between here and the green, but because it's very smooth, I think the decision to putt could work. I just gotta get the pace right. And I did not get the pace right. And that's why I don't like putting off the green, because you have to make the decision of how hard do I need to putt it, and I don't wanna hit it too far and go too long. And that's the fear that gets into my head, and that's why I don't do those shots. Got a Tacoma pitching wedge, so if they want to hit me up to sponsor, let me know. Now let's talk about a situation where you have no other option but to pull out the driver. Say there is, I mean, it's gonna be very rare, but you know, let's talk about the decision. Let's say for whatever reason, it is a 180-yard carry. You know the highest lofted club in your bag besides your driver, and your 3-wood that you never practice goes 180 yards. So I need to pull out the driver to hit it further than that and carry all this stuff. Now imagine there's water there. Maybe I'll Photoshop in some water. Now imagine I have to carry it 180 yards. What I don't want to do when I pull out the driver, if I'm not breaking 100 and I'm not breaking 90, is get up and try to rip it. Why? Because you might as well just toss the ball in the water and drop it afterwards. It's the same thing, because you most likely are gonna hit it out of bounds because you don't have the accuracy to tell the ball where you want it to go. So what you wanna do is hit that 100-yard pitching wedge shot with the driver. And I know it sounds crazy, but I guarantee the ball will go just as far as you need it to go, which is probably gonna be around 200, 220. And most of you are going to hit a further ball by having the correct impact position rather than swinging as hard as you can through the ball, adding way too much spin and letting it balloon up. And there we go. It's out there. It easily cleared all this stuff and we're completely fine. But for the most part, you really want to make the decision of how do I get this back to the fairway as opposed to how do I get this on the green if it's too far? Because hitting it from the rough is very unpredictable. It can do a lot of different things. It could fly, it could get caught up, it could twist the club, right? So we don't need to think about that. We just really need to take our medicine and get it back onto the fairway. The fairway is easy. It's like hitting off a range mat for the most part. But for you, you don't need to think about too much of what is the wind doing? What is this lie doing? What is it rolling out? How hot is it? How cold is it? What is, you are more likely in a position where I just need to hit this pretty flush, right? If you can hit the club pretty flush, then you are going to be much more likely to break your best score. If you never hit a bad, chunked, topped, poor shot, you're going to save probably around 10 to 15 strokes around. So I'm just going to chip this out there and get it back on the fairway, as opposed to thinking, well, what is this rough doing? Is there grass behind the ball? I'm not gonna think about all those decisions. I'm just going to get it out there, take my medicine, and go from there. Anyway, hopefully this video was helpful enough to help you start to think a little bit better on the golf course. You don't need to turn your brain off until it's time to swing. Then you let your body take over. Everything else, you want to make the smart decision without overcomplicating it. You don't need to think about course management too much. You need to think about hitting it not in the rad part, right? So that, I guess, is course management, right? In a very simplistic way of how do I not put myself into some shit? And that is by hitting the ball better and not swinging as hard and making better contact. Anyway, if you liked it, you know what to do. Subscribe to Rick Shields. I'm just kidding. Subscribe to me. I'm trying to beat Bryson DeChambeau to 2 million. Well, if you know Obama and can get him on the channel, that would really help out with trying to get to 2 million views.